Alright, looks like we got shit going here. The rest of the shit going here. Be live. Nice and catchy. I like that. Live there. Put out a little chat to the boys.
Announcer bot is active.
Alright, we got this.
Bria number 7 from United States is P1 driving a BMW Z4.
And that is up live. Alright, cool. We got everything set up. Let's immediately turn announcer bot off. Don't really feel the need to listen to him for that one. We did turn engine sounds down at one point. It's probably a little bit softer than usual. Let me get that loaded back up. Just a little tweaks. Oh, and the audio app is safely right at the end. That's usually where we have that. Alright, and away we go. Season 6 finale. This is what it's all about. We put out a nice little post just letting everybody know where things lie in the standings, linking up the broadcast, of course, getting things ready to go. Checking out the live timings. Looks like we've got a ton of racers already in the grid. We've got 7. We'll see who else shows up. Alright, and still got a bunch of those guys rolling in. Sorry, just trying to get things set up. Alright, so looks like that's sorted what I had going on there. Let's get in with Ryan number 7. Turn off some of these driver names here. Check out some of the areas. So tonight's races, we've got 25-minute practice, 20-minute qualifying, and then a 2x30-minute race. This is because we don't want it to run too much longer than usual. We don't want to be keeping everybody up till the ass crack of dawn in their respective time zones. So, and hopefully everybody is up to speed on that. I guess there's only really one way to find out. So we're locking up Brian number 7. He's currently the one with the fastest time on the grid. Got a 2:59 on his outlap. It's one hell of a pace to start. And when we did this one last time, this was kind of this. I was gonna say the tougher section, and it looks like it still proves true here. We'll keep our eyes a little bit further back on the track as we're gonna see 2 racers come flying by in just a moment. Looks like we will have, I want to say, Bullet, followed by Tommy Boy. So we'll watch these guys get into a little bit of a dogfight for a minute here. Just kind of see what comes. follow-up announcement was made just to kind of make sure that everybody is at least somewhat on the same page. Hopefully, we'll see that tonight. Got a lot of faith. This track usually provides some entertaining battles. Definitely provides entertaining moments with the pit, as we've seen a few guys struggle with that. We even saw that earlier in the EU race, if you were watching on Maple's stream, also known as Mino, on the Lithium Productions channel. 315% fuel usage for the finale, so it makes sure that these guys have to do a pit stop at some point in each of the 30-minute races. And only 35% damage, so they don't have to worry about that at the very least. Currently got 7 guys loaded into the server. We'll see how things fare out. So as we flip on with Tommy Boy, let's take a look at some of the racers just kind of hanging out, rocking the battles. I think we got Red 174. This one I definitely want to try and grab on the broadcast, so let's see. Rev, I am going to try and invite you to chat. I don't know if you're going to be able to while you're driving around there. Oh, looks like he's heading to pits. Good man. How you doing, Rev?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Not too bad. You are in one hell of a position today, aren't you?
Yep, it's a Dean and Patchy three-way fight.
Well, that's an exciting one. Have you put a couple extra laps in on the track just in preparation?
I tried to earlier today. I rolled over in one of the corners, so we'll see how it goes. I know Patchy's rocking some new pedals and some newfound confidence, especially given that we're both in the Audi this season and we both kind of haven't enjoyed it. Dean's with his tried and true Ferrari, but you know he's always a threat in consistency. So I'm very curious to see how this will turn out.
I think we all are now. You mentioned that you and Patchy are in the same manufacturer today. Is there
Yep,
any sharing of setups going on?
There is. Seb has kind of been our daddy as far as the Audi goes this season. He's been kind of tricking away at setups for us, and he's helped a lot with that. Especially, I remember earlier this season, the Le Mans race, he had a great setup for that that helped me stay consistent enough to actually finish 5th for that, which was really good. So he's been a huge help, and Patchy and I think Bullet and Inferno have been benefiting from that as well.
Yeah, well, it definitely seems to show. I mean, we're taking a look as far as consistency goes. You guys have really had battles throughout the whole season, so it's certainly been fun to watch. Now, a little congratulations to you guys. I do see that you have locked up 4th place in the the manufacturers championship. You've got 87 points, whereas their next closest competitor, McLaren, only ended up with 36. The Porsche and the Nissan were no-shows. So,
Yep.
that helps out a little bit. But hey, they don't ask
Consolation
how, they
prize.
ask how many.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you get to it. I mean, you got a lot of time here. Only 15 minutes of practice, but a good 20-minute qualifying. Are you excited for the pit stop? You tested out that pit entrance at all?
Yep, I haven't missed it so far, but I heard other people have, so hopefully I won't be caught in a crossfire.
Understandable. Well, I'll shift you back over to the guys, but good luck today. We're hoping to see some good wheel-to-wheel action.
Thank you, looking forward to it.
All right, so that was Rev 174 currently in a 3-way battle involving Big Dean Energy and this man from across the pond right here, Patchy, currently rocking the number 4 Audi. We had Rev in that, I want to say 223 earlier on. Patchy's been having one hell of a season here in the Hornsby and Hall Racer. He's only 2 points shy, and he's got really strong pace. You heard it from one of his competitors earlier. He actually did manage to upgrade his pedals heading into today's race, so hopefully that'll show some strong results. In the practice session, we do see he's just about within a second of some of these top car paces. So if he can hang on to that, I mean, that'll go a long way. Track temps are currently down a little bit, 18 degree on the road and only 16 degrees, 16 kilometer an hour wind to push them along in some areas, but definitely hurts on some of those back stretches through sector 2 and probably that early entry into sector 3. See if we can grab another battle. Let's take a look at the standings here and see what we've got and who's available. I do see Brian number 7 looking to catch up to the Inferno, so we'll see if we can grab him for just a moment. And Brian, I don't know if you can hear me, but we're inviting you to speak in the broadcast booth. You're gonna have to go to your Discord to accept the invite. Let's see if he can latch on. Hey, what a team player. Appreciate it. Should see a button that says accept invite to speak. And there you go. How you doing, bud?
Pretty good. How are you doing, Buggy?
Good, good. Figured we'd check in on you. You find yourself in a position that I don't think most people would realize is not too bad of one. I mean, you're only a few points shy of P4 here, and the guys all up front are going to be so focused on battling each other that you could easily pick up some solid points and knock the Inferno out of that spot.
I like the sound of that. So we'll keep the hopes high. You know, I don't know. Maybe there'll be another big wreck in front, and we'll gain a place or two there.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen throughout the season, you've had a few big races here. You've had fastest laps in 4 of the events so far. I mean, if you could carry on that pace today, I think you'd find yourself in a decent spot. Have you gotten any good practice laps in or not yet?
You know, I'm starting to get the feel for the track, but you know, it's going to take a little bit of time. The track's really wide. It's one of my weaknesses, oddly enough, and the walls are very close to the edge of the track. So, but there's definitely, you know, going to be some more pace in there the more that I practice. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Also, I have an excuse for missing the last MX5 race, so I'm sorry I missed that. I may have had some people's hopes up that I was going to make that at Martinsville, but unfortunately, it apparently wasn't to be.
Wasn't in the cards.
Well, it was about cards.
The poker game? Got caught in Balatro?
Oh, cards. Oh, yeah, I thought you meant carts. I was buying some stuff for some go-kart races I'm going to be doing over the summer this season.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, well, there were 2 trailers I was going to buy. Both of the sellers had them listed at $4,000. So the first person I came across, I was looking at the trailer, and you know, it was all right. It had some stuff inside that I kind of liked, and I gave her an offer at $3,000, and she said, "Well, would you meet me in the middle at $3,500?" And you know, being the shrewd negotiator that he was, we decided to meet right in the middle at $3,000.
Okay, I like it.
Now, unfortunately, that deal kind of fell through because we went to the DMV and she apparently didn't have a title for the thing. And, you know, it's kind of important to have a
you
title
need that for the trailer.
Ownership. Yeah. And so the second owner I came across, he had it listed for $4,000. A little bit newer trailer, but I looked around it and it was actually pretty good. And I was going to go ahead and offer him $3,000 for it. And the shrewd negotiator that he was, we decided to meet right in the middle at $2,500.
Wow.
So
not too shabby.
Yeah, so I took that offer, and now I got a trailer for my go-kart, so I'm happy.
Well, it sounds like it was fate for that first one to fall through.
Yeah, I wish that I could have been at the race on Monday, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Well, speaking of, I don't want to rob you of any practice. Patchy's actually starting to put some hot ones down, so I'll push you back over, but we're wishing you best of luck today.
All right, thanks, Buggy. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you out on the track.
See you there. All right, well, someone we can distract comfortably up in his lead. We'll try and get Tommy Boy in when he's done chasing down Patchy. Or we'll see if he can multitask. You never know. Purple, I think you still have an entry slot if you're trying to join said race. Let me check.
Yep.
And Project Purple. Yeah, you do. You can join the race still, Purple, if you're available. What's up, Tommy? Welcome to the chat.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I guess congratulations is all but in order here. You pretty much just had to show up and finish the first race to lock in your win. So, you know, I don't want to jinx it, but if you finish one of these 2 races, I think you've got your season in the bag.
Very interesting. Thank you for telling me that info.
Yep. Just the way the drops are falling. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean let off the gas any. But how you feeling today?
I've never heard of this track. I've never driven this track. So I'm expecting to be about maybe a second and a half off Jawa.
Well, currently that is where you lie based on his practice laps. A little closer to 2, but nothing you can't shave off. And this is some early practice times that we're seeing. What have you been working on some pit strategy at all or anything like that?
No, man, we winging it.
Just full sending it?
Pretty much. I mean, it's kind of what it's looking like. I'm still doing the laps right now to figure out how long it'll last me and what my midpoint is.
I gotta say, I'm surprised there's so few racers on the grid with some of these battles left to figure out. I know Seb usually shows up a little bit later, so I'm sure we'll see him, but a couple of the other guys in your class, I'm Slick for you. Oh, well, that would be the only other one who we typically see has not arrived yet, so keeps things interesting. Now, I know you might have it in the bag, but you and Botlando really have been going head-to-head on a lot of courses throughout this whole season. Are you looking for some wheel-to-wheel action, or is that something that you would kind of let him buy now that you've got a locked-in spot for the season?
Oh, no, dude, I love trading paint with Lando. I could never. Our time together in the GTRs has made me absolutely adore touching doors with him.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, that season was one to remember for the 2 of you. I feel like every single race we were able to bounce over and catch some action between you.
Yeah, that's how it always was. And I can't appreciate it more. I really enjoy racing him. I will say though, next season, put me in the damn high one, damn it. How dare you put me where I am?
You usually are in the high one. You had a rough first 2 weeks of the season, and then you have been dominating ever since. I thought Lando and Seb were going to give you a little bit closer of a run for your money, but I will say we're adopting a new point system, I believe, for next season that is quite interesting. To give you a little peek at that, let me pull up what I've got. Where is GT3? Oh, you know what? These might only be MX5s. Yeah, they've only done the scoring series for MX5, so can't tell you where you would have been on this one, but maybe we'll see about that. But
I know I missed MX5 Monday today. I was at Monday Night Raw.
Oh, were you? Like at it?
Yeah, it was at MSG.
Well, how was it?
Fucking fantastic.
Did you make a sign?
Nah, they wouldn't have seen it.
I
was in the nosebleeds of nosebleeds, dude.
Yeah, you're still there. That's what matters.
Yes. I got to see a bunch of stuff that the fans at home don't.
Yeah, exactly. See? Behind the scenes.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, there's only a few minutes left of practice here before the qualifying kicks off, so I'll send you back over to the boys, but good luck tonight.
Thank you, my friend.
So that's going to be Tommy Boy that we were checking in on. He really has locked up that pro class. There are 10 points separating himself and Lando, so the whole class would need to show up, and Tommy Boy would need to lose both races in order for Lando to have a chance. But even then, it would all depend on where the drops fall. So nothing set in stone. Oh, Tommy with a little rough one there through the chicane. I don't remember what we named some of these corners last time, but we'll actually pull back for just a second as I hear a little Lamborghini action. These guys working pretty close together. I see Josh has a personal best of 204.8 in their offline server. Same with Jawa with a 204.69. So very close together, these two. You can see working with confidence. So we're going to use these guys as our lap markers as we do one of our semi-traditional naming laps. Our longtime viewers will be familiar when I don't know the names of the track. We just create them. So obviously this is going to be start-finish straight into turn 1. And the hard right-handers through the countryside. Or through the village. I feel like this is more of a little village feel. So through the village, around Old Man's house. Just a little bit of a Top Gear nod there. Carrying some strong pace through the chicane. He gets on the back half of the village roadway. Really starting to separate himself from Jawa a little bit here, but that's okay. These guys are not in the same event. As he turns, that's going to be a tougher name. Right towards the lake with the left away into the chicane. Keep it simple. And every once in a while, we'll throw a fancy one in there. We'll call this one Bruno. We just don't talk about it. And we'll just call this section Hell's Kitchen, because that's really what it is. It's just hell. There's nothing fun about it. And these cars are struggling with that section more than the rest of the track. But man, then they get to open up, work their way through the green mile. Around Lakeshore Drive towards the finish. All that's left is avoiding the wall. And I think that's a lap. Not only is that a lap, that's a personal best from Jawa with a 2:04.8 and Josh Fulton with a 2:05.7. So those are some strong ones that we get the privilege of checking in on. Speaking of checking in, let's head over to Brian working his way through Hell's Kitchen. Actually a little bit behind on his pace right now, so we'll let him take a minute to try and find it. Patchy doing a little bit better as he works his way away from the lake into the second chicane. Loses a little bit of time through that second chicane, so part of a struggle. Tries to find it through Bruno, and he does, a couple hundreds. But it all comes down to the kitchen. This is where the laps are made or broken. Went for a strong entry, cost him a little bit through the midsection, but found all that time back on his exit. This is going to put him in a good spot as he catches closer and closer to Lando and separates himself from Rev 174 behind. Definitely an important battle for him today. He's got to stay in front of Rev, and he's got to hope that a few more head onto the grid. A packed grid is really going to be the only way he has any sort of advantage here. So we're still missing a large chunk of our rookie grid. Patchy heads off to the side. Just trying to watch and see who goes out for their laps here. It is overtime, so not too much to be expected from the laps, but we'll check in with the Lamborghini. He's currently rocking the Almeida logos there. And for those of you who don't know, Suelio is racing at Sebring this weekend. He had a little bit of misfortune with some fuel in the race, but strong times, strong dedication nonetheless. Same thing that we see from our grid over here.
Good evening, Buggy.
Well, how you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, good. You popping in for a pre-qual interview?
Yeah, I'm just seeing what's up.
Yeah, a little light on the grid today.
Yeah, I was trying to fix some of my apps that were not showing up, but we figured it out.
Very nice, very nice. Well, it looks like you've really helped Josh connect with his pace here, as we've been keeping an eye on those offline practice times and even that 2:05 that he put up towards the end of this session here. I mean, have you guys really been working together?
You know, we do on setups and such for the races, but that was all him.
Very
That
nice.
was all him. Can't take any credit for that.
Some of the racers are saying the Lamborghini looks at home here in Argentina. Is this probably the most comfortable you felt all season?
You know, it's not too bad. I dislike this track a lot whenever I first started laughing it, but I don't mind it too much now. You really have to be on edge all the time for this car to be quick. It feels better at Monza for sure. This isn't bad at all.
I'm assuming you're referring to that section we've come to know as Hell's Kitchen. That one in particular has been giving a lot of people some trouble.
Yeah, I feel like the car's kind of floating through that section, so it's really just a balance of throttle control and your steering inputs, but it's not too bad.
So with 2 30-minute races and a fuel stop in each of them, why don't you walk us through kind of what you're expecting and what your game plan is for today?
You know, with the Lamborghini burning a lot more fuel, it actually kind of gives us an advantage. And in some instances, we don't have to, our tires are about just, takes just as long to swap tires as it does get fuel. So we kind of have that advantage there. So we kind of need to take tires when everybody else is weighing out the pros and cons of not taking tires during the fuel stop. So that kind of helps out a little bit. So we're pretty set on just taking or taking tires for the most part.
Oh, so you get a fresh second set. That'll be nice there.
It'll be great, actually. It'd be awesome to have an extra set of tires to mess with and break in.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I'm seeing some of these guys start to head out on track. I'll let you get to it. Only 20 minutes of qualifying today. Seems like some people are taking advantage of that betting bot, and they're putting some money on you tonight, so we're hoping you make them proud.
Well, I hope I can make everyone not lose any money, so.
All fake money, don't worry. But Godspeed tonight, and well, we hope to see some strong performance.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll try.
So that was Jawa. Don't want to give him the congratulations just yet, as El Garito has officially hit the grid. Speed Bump and Boat show up. There is still a chance that Garito could pull through. It's going to be a very close battle to the end for both of them, so exciting to see what happens there. We're currently on with Patchy in the number 4 patch job, making his way off there. Project, got your Monopoly money ready to go. Love to hear it. We'll take a little bit of a look at Argentina as Patch heads into Hell's Kitchen. I think I just like that name because I've been watching Daredevil recently, but it fits. We can call it the Shrubbery. Hornsby and Hall, for those who don't know, is actually Patchy's European truck simulator company. I hope I'm saying that right. I think it's Euro Truck Simulator, but they do a lot of hauling over there, so we wanted to bring that representation over to the other chunk of his free time, our lovely SimGrid. But we're going to stick with him as he heads out for our first lap here. We're going to keep an eye as that Delta shoots up past 30 seconds and we lose track of the time. But he's looking pretty strong through turn 1. A little bit of hesitation there in turn 2, but that could just be the grip of that Audi. That thing is difficult to control. He's doing a mighty good job of it at the moment. As he heads past Old Man's house, he really rides against that curb, but doesn't push it against the wall, which I do expect to see if we get some wheel-to-wheel action going here. Only 16 minutes remaining of the qualifying session. Still have a few of our usual suspects have yet to arrive, so we'll see again where the grid ends up. It is Euro Truck. All right, I tried. All right. Patch working his way right towards the lake. Currently, we can see what his time is at. I'm trying to do the math in my head, but I'm thinking that's around a 2:08, so he definitely has some time to shave. We'll see where that time was lost. I'm going to assume Hell's Kitchen has to be a chunk of it. Or perhaps there was a slower Sector 1. Though he did outpace Jawa. Oh, and Broadcaster's Curse strikes for just a moment, giving him that misfortune through Hell's Kitchen. But we'll check in with Jawa, who does have the fastest Sector 2. Sector 1 currently going to the Audi of Patchy in front. But Jawa looking to send a message with his first clean lap of the qualifying session. As he heads through the green mile into Lakeshore Drive. I mean, he's got a lot of pace here. It's, again, early laps in qualifying. I'm not sure what he's going to put up because that Delta is past the 30-second marker. Holy crap, a 2:04.6. So that's actually the fastest lap we've seen of the entire evening so far, including the practice session, and I think maybe even his offline times. He's got, oh no, it definitely was, because I think it was a 6.9. So that is 500ths faster than he's currently been doing. 16-kilometer-an-hour wind still, and the track has been getting a little warmer, now up to 21 degrees Celsius, so starting to find his grip. We'll stay back for a minute in Old Man's house to grab onto Rev 174 in the Audi. Again, Rev, Dean, and Patchy all having a big battle here to the end. We're hoping to see Patchy make an appearance if we can. Again, El Garito only needing 6 points, trying to get his laps in as well, so we'll check in with him in just a moment. But heading right towards the lake. Rev a little bit behind on his fastest lap time. That's the kind of time you can definitely make up in Hell's Kitchen. If you've got a 2:07, that's usually where that extra time has gone. Right now, Rev is currently sitting in the 2:08, so as he heads through Bruno, he'll need to focus up and see what time he can steal through here. The MX4 season. Didn't catch that. As Rev starts into the kitchen a little bit slowly, but it all comes down to the exit. We've seen people gain tons of time, but unfortunately, this is not going to be one of those occasions. As Rev a little bit off his pace, Tommy Boy, on the other hand, looking to put a clean one down in his first hot lap here, heading past the green mile with a little bit of conviction. The car is looking strong into Lakeshore Drive. So Tommy Boy's going to round around the corner here, come round around, and finishes with a 2:07.067, so just shy of the 2:06s. I'm expecting to see 2:05s from him, though, by the time hopefully by the time we hit the actual race itself, if not during the race. I'm going to come a little bit further back on the grid to Josh Fulton, looking to shave off a few more tenths here as he heads past the wall and finishes with a 2:06.071. So nearly a second faster than Tommy Boy, on some pretty solid pace for tonight's event. Sorry, I'm back. So Josh Fulton here, still on some solid pace. We're looking to see, as some of these other racers get out onto the grid, what they've got. We haven't really checked in with El Garito. I've been giving him a moment to find his groove, which that Ferrari seems to be struggling to do just a little bit. I don't know what Bot Lando ended up with during the practice session. I don't think we checked in too frequently. Got just over 11 minutes remaining until the race begins, or at least until overtime begins, but close enough. El Garito heading on to the back half of the village road. He's already lost a ton of time on this lap, so this isn't really going to be a hot one. We'll, again, let him focus up. Bullet, on the other hand, already shaving 30 seconds off in the first few feet of that lap, so that means they haven't really gotten a chance to put a proper clean one in just yet. We'll see what they can. Oh yeah, it was a 6:13 on the last one, so I think that's where a lot of that time will come from. Based on the live timings, Bullet currently not really showing, oh, I was going to say a clear sense of where they're at as far as pace goes. They are in a dangerous area as Rev's going to come through with a lot more speed and start to close down that gap between them. Curious to see if Bullet becomes a little bit of traffic during Rev's lap here, because Rev is on a bit of a fast one, getting closer and closer to that range of Apache in front. We did just have a weather change. We're going up to 23 degrees Celsius now and 11km/h wind speed. This time a little bit more of a crosswind for them, so through the main sections of the track, that is. It's interesting to see as the track gets warmer. Does it help or does it hurt these times fall? They've got 10 minutes left to make something happen. Back on that note, we'll try and just make one quick announcement. Oh, and that's going to hurt Rev's lap there, unfortunately. Bullet does become traffic. All right. Put out one final announcement. I think that is the most we're going to be able to do to try and get some of our racers back on the grid. That is one of the downsides to these longer seasons. As you get to the end, it's kind of clear some of the point spreads, and people lose the motivation to show up for some of the back half of the season. But we do have a new point system coming our way. It should keep things a little bit more interesting, and we're excited to share that with you for the next season. We've latched on here to Brian, number 7, looking to shave off a ton of time on that 3-minute and 46-second lap. Looks like they have an unofficial best of a 2:13 now, so this should get them closer and closer to the 2-minute 10-second mark. No, not a ballast system purple. It's like just a different point system, that's all. But we found one that's a little bit more adaptive, we'll say. as Brian does take that 210 to the bank for now. 7 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. We're going to just try and grab on to a car so we can stabilize. Oop, did not work too well, but Josh Fulton heading, looks like, through the back half of the Village Road as he swings right towards the lake. It's currently a little bit up on his time, but that's a weird angle. Oh, one he's able to hold on to as he goes left away and into the second chicane. He's toying with his personal best, that 2:04.72, trying to catch up to Java, mostly for bragging rights, but also to send a message to the rest of his grid. Lando, the next closest one, over a second away from his pace, so that Lamborghini really shining today. And that's going to be good in terms of the Manufacturers' Cup. That is another thing that's going on. Ferraris and the BMWs still need to battle it out, but if they let these Lamborghinis run for both races, well, it's not going to be as close as they think. The Lamborghinis are definitely set up to walk away with it here in the final race of the season. But it'll at least be interesting to see what happens between the BMWs and the Ferraris if they can't close this gap. Right now, Tommy Boy currently representing the fastest of the BMW field. Only a few cars from each manufacturer present on the grid tonight. In school, yeah, school always gets in the way. It's around midterm season right now, breaks right now, all sorts of things to change the availability of race schedule. A little daylight savings action in there as well. Whole bunch of stuff and things. I feel like we haven't really watched Bot Lando at all today. This orange Ferrari not looking very familiar on the broadcast, so I'll try and show him a little bit of love as he heads through Lakeshore Drive in that orange Ferrari. Orange Ferrari. Ooh. Almost makes it hard to say. So Rev and Bullet had a little bit of side-by-side action going on for a moment. Looks like heading past Bruno. And Josh Fulton spins out as well, looking at the live timings. Lando there putting up a 2:24, so that was basically just an outlap. Loses a little bit of pace heading into the first part of the Village Road. Now needs to make up at least 2/10 before he can start shaving time off towards those Lamborghinis in front. And I'm not positive, but I think that might have been a track cut. If not, that definitely should have been that second one there through the chicane. But we'll find out in just a minute. Nope, I do see a red sector 1, so he will not get a clean one this go around. Brian number 7, on the other hand, does still look to be on pace. He's almost a second up on his time heading into the Village Road. Needs to shave off a ton of it to try and catch up to that grid ahead. Brian number 7 in the same field as Rev 174, Dean, and Patchy as he tops out heading right towards the lake. I don't think we've heard any of the cars top out, so that's going to be interesting. Taking a look now, we actually don't have fastest speed set up at the moment, or top speed set up at the moment, as he suffers a little mistake through the second chicane and is going to need to try and find that pace again. This is where the pressure starts to build. Only 3 minutes left on a track that takes 2 minutes to get around. So you're really starting to hit your now or never moments. Not exactly the one I was looking for. It's actually going to be Patchy trying to check in on, as he is following behind Rev 174 as on his outlap. By the looks of things, Rev is on a push lap, so trying to at least put a little bit of respectful distance between them. Try and keep an eye on these two Audis here, as they've got some similar times, so this could be motivation for both of them on what might be their final attempt of the evening. I think 20 seconds is enough for them to get by, but you never really know. Current lap, oh yeah, definitely will be. So they'll have one more shot after this if they're fueled up and in position to do so. But I think they're going to start to put the pressure on here. Patchy did back off to put a little bit more space between them, just in case something happens. Interesting, he didn't look for the toe to get a little bit of advantage here through some of these first portions of the track. But he's actually looking pretty strong through turns 1 and 2, heading into the village roadway. See if he can gain a little bit of time through Old Man's House, because for some reason, I think he might have had a draft on his personal best lap. Lost a lot of time there, just a flat out section. But the chicane will be one of the few moments that define this lap. So he comes out still on top, only by a couple hundredths. Now working his way through the back half of Village Roadway. I don't see he's catching up to Rev, but Rev also on a push lap of his own as they both head right towards the lake. Rev working his way left around it. Patchy following through, losing a little bit of time there. Seems like he might have had a better exit on his original fast lap, but still very, very close. Heading into Bruno, which a lot of opportunity. We've said it before, I'm sure you guys are tired of it, but Hell's Kitchen is going to be where he can get ahead. So hopefully he gets a nice clean line through here. Opts for the short entry to try and line up that quick exit. And takes it a little bit awkward at first, but still 5/10 up on his time. That's going to be a huge chunk. Rev does seem to be about the same distance in front, so I'm thinking Rev's going to be putting up a personal best. So it'll come down to, is it enough? We'll stick with Patchy, so Rev's lap time can surprise us as they both head around the wall, looking to cross the line with enough time for one more, but neither one will be able to. Rev putting up a 2:06.489, and Patchy a 2:06.721. That was a close one, but it is going to go to Rev 174. Ends up taking it by about 3/10 as we lock in here with El Burrito. Might be regretting his choice to skip practice, as he's still looking for a personal best somewhere along the way. He needs to beat Jawa and get the fastest lap in both races. Currently looking like a big ask, but we've seen the man pull off miracles before. Again, not something we're going to count out. I'll be right back as we watch the final few moments of El Burrito's lap. It's going to be a good one, but not one that puts him into contention just yet. Alright, and I'm back. So we've got an interesting grid here, but it doesn't look to be anything too promising for some long-term wheel-to-wheel action. Again, consistency always ends up being a factor in these, so I don't want to say that with absolute certainty, but Jawa and Josh battling back and forth in the 204s in those Lamborghinis. Bot Lando in a bit of no man's land in the 205.9 Ferrari. El Garito all the way back in P8 in the other Ferrari, hoping to catch up to that time. Tommy Boy sitting P4 with a 206.466, just barely ahead of Rev 174 with a 206.48, and Patchy with a 206.7. Brian, number 7, with a 208 in that BMW, still looking to find his groove. And Bullet with a 211, looking to get into those single digits once we get things underway. So a lot of little improvements we're going to be looking for here in race 1, trying to dial things in. Again, there are 2 today, so a lot of opportunities for points. They just need to stay competitive and keep their drops in mind. Currently, Bullet's drops are 0, so he won't have anything to worry about there. I'm looking to see if anyone's got some. So Patchy needs above 14 points as a grand total today, which looks like he'll be able to just on attendance alone. Rev needs above 15. Again, might be possible on attendance alone. A lot of these guys, I don't think are going to be relying on their drops, so it'll really come down to how they perform for the race itself. That's the exciting part of it. I'll have to see just a moment or two here. Got a few guys calling for more NA guys to join in, but this is the grid that we've got, whether they like it or not. As I think that's going to be the overtime ending and the wait session beginning. I just want to make sure I didn't screw up the camera too much. Get it back to its normal point of view. So this looks to be your final grid of the season. Only 9 races on the track, our smallest one of the season, but 9 racers all battling it out for points. This could be interesting. I think this is definitely going to help out Bullet in the long run. Let's see, that will. Where's Sunday Driver at? Sunday does have a drop available, so they'll gain 10 points, giving them 96. Bullet 10 and 10, 91. Ooh, Bullet will fall just shy, but still an interesting one. It'll get right at the heels there, and you never know. Sometimes I may have done the math wrong here and there with some of these fastest lap and other things, so we'll find out. These guys are going to need a fuel stop, so we'll see just how that goes. El Garito saying the broadcast car is going down today, so hopefully that's not the case, as broadcast car is just here for the vibes. When we take a look at our grid, we've got Josh Fulton up front leading us off in the number 23 Techley Racer, followed by Jawa in the number 5. Then we've got Bot Lando in the orange Ferrari, Tommy Boy in the number 16 BMW, Rev 174 in the 223 Audi, Patchy in the number 4. And we got Brian number 7 in the number 2, El Garito in the rear here in the El Bandito, and at the back, Bullet in the number 3 Audi. I know it's going to look a little funky on your standings, but the number 3 car is what it is. And away we go for one of the final 2 races of the season. Josh Fulton off to an electric start as a lot of these guys fall into a side-by-side pattern heading into turn 1. Everything keeping clean as we work our way into the front part of the village road. You can see the sun is just now rising, so it's going to be in their eyes for this part of the straightaway. Going to make it very hard to see as they head towards Old Man House. They're going to need to be patient with one another. And we'll pull back for just a second to see how that patience goes. But patience they have as we head towards the first chicane, and everybody seems to already be giving each other a little bit of space. So a lot of confidence in this grid making it through to Hell's Kitchen. Beyond that is going to be another question. We'll try and jump in with a little three-way battle shaping up here for P5. Apache and Red in a battle for points. This is very important for the two of them. El Garito just looking for a way by. As he is unfortunately blocked off from being able to make a move heading into that first chicane. You see a little bit further up, Tommy Boy and Botlando are getting that wheel-to-wheel action that they mentioned that they were looking for. Tommy Boy able to squeeze by on the inside through Bruno, but here we've got Hell's Kitchen, so now we'll see which car is able to take the quicker line through. That BMW pretty nimble around the corners. I'm assuming Tom will have the advantage. So far, it seems like he does. Fulton still out by a couple of tenths on Jawa ahead. So we'll try and grab them in just a moment's time. But first, El Garito looking for a way past his man across the pond. And he pulls off for a second. I think he was not confident taking that one as a flat out, but a lot of these other cars are, so he's going to need to find a way to keep it on the gas through there. We then have, sorry, I was going to say Brian number 7 looking to take advantage of some of that hesitation. Oh, and he gets just, he kind of gets pushed into the wall. Not really. There was space, but I think he tries to squeeze it and goes a little bit too quick. So Brian number 7 going to find himself on the back foot. The good news for him is he's in that BMW, which is very good on gas, so he'll have the opportunity to take a very late stop and only have a low amount of refueling to do, which will certainly help in the long run, shorten down that time. He's definitely gone full airborne indeed. Thankfully low damage on the vehicles today, so hopefully that didn't mess things up too poorly for him. Botlando still sticking within a pretty reasonable striking distance to Tommy Boy in front. We definitely can't ignore the domination going on from that number 23 car in the Lamborghini, but man, Botlando had some exploding speed out of that second chicane, turning it into a wheel-to-wheel battle heading into Hell's Kitchen, which Tommy Boy will back out of. I think he knows he's got a little bit more speed through this section, so he'll try and use it to his advantage and get into the draft of that orange Ferrari heading into Lakeshore Drive. Got a lot of cars heading up right behind them. You can see pretty much the entire grid there. So nobody's close enough to get comfortable. Sorry, it's far enough away to get comfortable. Even Fulton in front, gaining tenths at a time and then losing them. As Java dipped into 0.6 second gap for a moment there. Tommy Boy falling within drafting range. Not going to be enough to get it past, but will be able to get close and maybe line something up if he can have a strong first 2 turns here. Taking things a little bit awkwardly into the first part of Village Road. I don't think that's going to give him the help he was looking for. You can actually hear that Audi of Rev 174 start to get closer and closer as we head towards Old Man House. Tommy again with a little bit of an awkward line through there. Not able to find the pace he's looking for. We'll jump a little bit further back as this really is a 4-man battle, almost 5-man battle, as El Garito only 1.5 seconds away. Starting to get closer and closer. Only 5 minutes in and the grid's starting to split. But everybody's staying within the range of a single mistake, so the concentration needs to be there, the consistency needs to be there, because an opportunity can arise at a moment's notice. which, speaking of, it looks like Jawa has closed that gap to his Techly Racing counterpart. Josh Fulton now only 3/10 ahead, of his, I was going to say manufacturer teammate, but gets a little shunt there as he's a bit earlier on the brakes than the number 5 car was anticipating. That'll give Lando an opportunity to make up some time, which it seems like he's not currently able to take advantage of, as he's watching out for Tommy Boy creeping up behind him. So the battle for the top spot and the battle for the final podium spot seem to be the strongest ones at the moment. The Audis and El Garito do keep dabbling in and out of fighting range. We got a lot of time left and a pit strategy to figure things out with. We do know these guys are going to take a longer pit stop and go for the tires as well, but with already being 6 seconds up, I think they're going to have a good chance. We did see, I was going to say, Lando must have had a little bit of a struggle, and a struggle indeed. He saves himself and is able to get back on the gas, but gives Tommy Boy the opportunity to slip by. He'll stay in his drafting range and try and make something happen through Old Man's house, but not going to be able to just yet. This time we are going to hang on to these two. We'll turn to the Audis in a little bit as they are getting closer and closer to one another, but Lando not willing to give out that position so easily. Trying to get closer and closer to that 16 car if he can. They're on the back part of Village Road, and that draft is going to be a mean one. But Tommy Boy slotted to the inside as they turn right towards the lake. The left away from it is going to go to Lando. And it'll come down to who gets into the chicane first. I think Lando will have the line to get through it early. Tommy's going to get a little bit of better acceleration out and probably get back within drafting range through Bruno. He's creeping, but not quite there yet. We're going to jump back to the battle of the Audis as Patchy gets closer and closer to Rev 174. We see Josh Fulton off to the side. So it looks like Josh had a little bit of a spin going into Hell's Kitchen. Those tires are hot. Almost has a second one, but is able to recover. Josh now finds himself in P4, still leading his class, but now has both members directly behind him. So his cushion has gone. Jawa, now out in a little bit of no man's land, is going to have to try and keep his concentration wherever possible. There's always a second race, Parmesan, and there's still a long ways to go in this one. We saw how easily Josh fell. It was a single spin on the toughest part of the track, one that we've seen just about everybody spin in at least once in practice or qualifying today. Rev 174 looking for the opportunity, but closer than that, Tommy Boy. Now side by side with Lando. These two really do love trading a little bit of paint with each other where they can, as they get real close going around Old Man's house. That Ferrari just barely pulling out in front, but knows it needs to be a little later on earlier on the brakes through the chicane to avoid the contact, and manages to get a better acceleration into the back part of Village Road because of it. Tommy Boy looking for an angle wherever he can find one. Doesn't seem like he's gonna get the move through the right-hander, but he is lining himself for that lane you saw Lando take early on. Whoa, and out of nowhere comes Josh Fulton. I didn't even realize he was in the hump, but that Lamborghini comes flying by to shake things up. Tommy Boy, a little bit more nimble in that BMW, manages to get through the chicane first, but their battle is definitely going to be costing them. Josh hoping to get by before Patchy can close the gap, as this battle is going to be slowing everybody down. If Rev 174 can catch up to Patchy before they get this group, though, that might give him a little bit of breathing room. 19 minutes remaining. We saw in the EU race that people pit as late as 2.5 minutes remaining, so no idea where those strategies are going to fall over here in the NA race. They were all over the place in the other event as well. We've got 4 different manufacturers on the grid, so a lot can come into play. Do see Tommy Boy making a little bit better use of the draft than Josh is able to at first, with that top speed of the Lambo kicking in a little bit before turn 1. And as they swing into the beginning of Village Road, Tommy Boy able to get by that Ferrari with some pretty good pace. Ends up 4/10 ahead. Now we're not kicking and screaming, but that's because this battle isn't over yet. We have 3 cars here that are all determined to hang on. Tommy Boy goes a little bit wide off track, lets both cars through, and will now be the one playing catch up. He did have the pace earlier, but he's going to be relying a little bit on that battle between Josh and Balando to help him out. El Garito seems to have found his groove. His current personal best, a 2:07.2, so significant improvements from what we saw during qualifying, as he's starting to put the pressure on to Rev 174. Josh does make a move right towards the lake and finds himself at the top of this 6-man grouping, kind of all battling it out for P2, but really battling it out for P3 at the moment. Josh has 13 seconds to make up to Jawa, so that's about how much time he lost, mostly with traffic, as I think the spin only really cost him about 7 of that 13. I guess most is a strong word, but considering it was a spin. For the time being, the grid's starting to calm down just a little bit. Bullet 32 seconds behind Brian number 7, 16 seconds behind this grouping we're eyes on over here. You can see all the way down the straightaway. I'm trying not to jump too many of them just because don't want to miss the action behind as we get in. Can jump over to Botlando, who's currently leading that group, and take a look at what it looks like in his rear view mirror. Definitely an intimidating sight. So many, oh my God. That's gonna be Josh again. So that Lamborghini taking a little bit of a beating. I'm not sure what caused that one. It seems like he's got anti-broadcaster's curse. As soon as we leave him, he spins. So we're gonna stick with him for a moment, try and give him some good luck. But losing 10 seconds on that lap there, now has 3.9 seconds to make up to that big group he just worked his way through. He can definitely get back up to second place again. Oh, and Tommy Boy gives him something to look forward to, as he seems to have suffered through the first chicane. So when you get a track as technical as this one, it really isn't over until the end, which I know is something that Crofty would probably say on Drive to Survive, but it's true. I mean, as far as some of these gaps may start to seem, and as comfortable as these positions get to hold, we've seen so many changes. It really is incredible. But El Garito pushing a little bit harder than he should have, as he hits running with the wall at 100 kilometers an hour, manages to pull it together and keep pushing through. But that's going to be a dangerous one for him, as he'll be a little bit on the back foot. Taking a look, Brian number 7 has pit, so he's got 12 seconds to make up to Bullet, but Bullet, I was gonna say won't have to worry there. I see Jawa is actually in the pit boxes, so he'll be our first one to take a pit attempt, as we see the Ferrari come flying in with a lot of speed, so that's actually gonna save them quite some time. All of these racers just barely making it into the 15-minute mark, but I think they're doing it so that they can all get fresh tires. We see a ton of racers in it. Oh, that's going to be Rev 174 backing up into his pit box, so unfortunate there. As Patchy and Tommy Boy stay out, Tommy Boy 3.5 seconds away from Patchy currently, has a lot to make up for after his spin in the first chicane. We're latching on with Botlando just to see where he shakes up with the rest of the grid. Josh Fulton able to pass Rev 174 in the pits. Rev not going to be a fan of that, but that Lamborghini's going to be real quick out, and it will be all up to Rev to carry the pace through. 14 minutes remaining. I'm slowly losing my voice, so just give me 1 second here. As we latch back on. Definitely think it's all reliable. I wish we could see exactly how long they've been on the tires with what I've got up at the moment, but that's okay. We'll be able to see at some point. Currently, the whole grid is on soft, so that's why I'm led to believe they did pit for tires. It's 25-degree on the track temp, no wind to really help them out anywhere along the way. And that pit stop really did shake things up because we've got El Garito now in front of Josh and Rev 174. Josh, wow, has an extremely strong move through right towards the lake and left away, and ends up 0.6 seconds away or in front of that Ferrari. Again, not in the same class, but a comfortable place to be in. Patchy known for taking the car as far as it can go without stopping for fuel. We'll be interested to see how that works for him today. As El Garito trying to push towards that Lamborghini, see if he can get the position back as they turn towards green mile. But I don't think he's going to be able to make anything happen just yet. Tommy Boy's been catching up, though, a little bit to Patchy. He's cut about 1.5 seconds down on that Audi in front. Currently 0.8 seconds up on his lap time with a clean Sector 1. So that's a man on a mission, if I've ever seen one. We'll see his personal best is currently a 2:07.3. This is going to be his chance to get not only into the 206s, but maybe even those 205s. We know the BMW is capable of, so keeping an eye on him as he turns right towards the lake. Definitely creeping closer and closer to Patchy in front. That number 4 Audi is going to start to feel the pressure. Even though they're not in the same class, it's never fun having someone in your mirrors. It always keeps you checking, and that's when mistakes start to happen. It definitely depends on the car. I'd say in this one, like I think you could get away with it with like the BMW. That's what I'm trying to say, and maybe even the Audi. But the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, I think the tires definitely you need that to offset the pace, or you have to go mediums. Just in my limited experience driving the two, so. Tommy Boy has really closed the gap to Patchy. Looks like he's going to go for the pit entry, though. He's calling it here. Nearly a little run-in with the wall, as Bullet does have one. We'll see. I think he was debating a little pit attempt, but ends up not doing it. Oop. My dog's going a little bit crazy. Looks like, there you go. She's just being a menace, as one does. Josh now looking to catch another car, making his way back up to trying to get to P2 if he can. Tommy Boy going for his long pit right now, so we'll see how much time he's able to save by staying out a little bit longer. He was behind these guys when he went in, or sorry, when they all start to went in, but this is going to be key. They do get back out in front, but not by much. The pace is going to be the killer thing, though, as that Lamborghini looks squirrely. Josh able to control it, though, and moves past the Ferrari, now into P3. So all that's left to do is get close enough to make sure that Audi's pit stop isn't too short. This has, though, of course, set up your old favorite traditional battle between Tommy Boy and Botlando. I think Tommy's seeing that orange Ferrari up front is going to start to hammer down and look for an opportunity. This is his outlap, so he's trying to get the pace back here. Botlando is going to be following the line of that Lamborghini, so he'll have some small advantages himself, but we'll see how long it takes before these guys are back in the action. Yeah, I mean, these tires aren't the worst. It's usually, if we jack the road temps a bit, they definitely could be, but we try to be nice about it. Oh, we see Tommy Boy still looking for that opportunity. Bullet, it seems a small collision with the environment, a little bit further back on the grid. So actually, it's going to be up ahead on the grid as Tommy Boy sneaks by, but does lose that pace to Botlando. He was starting to creep within the 1 second mark. I think it's going to be another 2 laps before we see some wheel to wheel, but 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. We're going to have a lot more than 2 laps left to go. Apache still needs to pit, so still not even sure where he's going to end up at this point. I'm not sure how long that pit stop's going to be, if he's going in for just fuel, as I'm going to imagine he is. Everybody else seems to have pit around the same marker. They're about 10 laps in now, heading towards lap 11. Jawa has definitely closed that gap to Apache. The question is, has Josh? Going off his current pace, he doesn't think he has, or he doesn't care if he has, because he is hammering laps away. I think he's actually starting to creep a little closer to Jawa, a 10th or 2 at a time. Not enough to where I think we're going to see an overtake, but enough to where you know he's making moves on Apache as well. Tommy Boy, I think, heard me say it's going to take 2 laps and decided to turn it into only 1. Doesn't want to lose that broadcast focus. He's a camera selfish guy, and that's okay. That's why we love him. That number 16 car definitely starting to apply the pressure to that orange Ferrari. You see it taking a little bit less of a straight line through the chicane than it normally does. And that'll give this BMW a little bit of a chance as we head past Bruno. Oh, wow. Real late on the brakes there from Tommy, but he manages to hold off and avoid the contact with Botlando's bumper in front. He will need to get back on the pace. He's only 0.7 away, but that did blow his dive opportunity, I think a little bit prematurely, but still has some time. And El Garito 2.2 seconds back, lapping similarly to these guys, but it will be a little difficult for him to close that unless these guys get locked up in the head-to-head right or in the next few minutes here. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because this is exciting here. I'm really thinking that Tommy's got the chance, and I'm hoping Botlando's got a good pace to defend. But these guys are always asking for the head-to-head battles, and they seem to have found it with each other once more. It's just crazy how evenly matched they seem to be, no matter what machinery you put them in. Some true chemistry among teammates, even though they are on opposite sides of the Manufacturers' Cup today. The Ferrari and the BMW, reminder, are tied for the Manufacturers' Cup, currently tied at P2. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch up to the Lamborghini, but this is a big turn of events for them here today. Right now the BMW is ahead, so Botlando could pull strong for his team. Oh, That's Josh Fulton again. Unfortunate, dropping down to P6 here. We do see he's still ahead of Rev 174, which is where he needs to be, but was getting closer and closer to P2. After all that, it seemed like he had the chance, but finds himself on the back foot with roughly 3 laps to go. Still can make up a few positions here. His best lap is roughly 2 seconds faster than the other guys on the grid. Patchy now going in for his pit stop, so we'll finally get to see where that comes out. As Tommy Boy now finds himself 2 seconds ahead of Bot Lando after a pass going left away from the lake. So Patchy getting on the gas here. He's definitely in strong position to stay in front of Tommy Boy. I think this later pit strategy definitely saved him a ton of time as he comes out of the pits 10 seconds ahead of Tommy Boy. He's 20 seconds away from Jawa, so that does confirm that him and Josh Fulton would have been in a little bit of a wheel-to-wheel battle right about here. But that is still one hell of an impressive strategy from Patchy there. Seems like staying out and roughing the tires is going to give him a nice lead. So Patchy's over here looking at a potential P2. Tommy Boy is the only one who can really do something about that. Currently his best lap was a 2:06.7, and that did come on his last one. Whereas Patchy is sitting with a 2:07.5 on his personal best. Jama has been killing it. Jama is our first racer to get into the 204s. His last one was a 2:04.79. Making a ton of pace. As we see Josh Fulton doesn't even want to take his time. He's just going right for the passes, starting to make moves on El Garito in front here. He isn't going to be able to make it up to Patchy ahead, but being in between them is going to be a big blow for Rev 174, as him and Patchy are, well, that actually gives Patchy, I think, the opportunity to tie Rev at this point. So if I'm understanding the flow correctly, has Fulton looking for a way by. I think Patchy is now tied for the lead with Rev 174 in the amateur class, as long as the standings stay the way they look now. I think Josh is thinking about giving Garito a little bit of a run on this last lap here, but we'll see what he wants to do. Oh, that pace of the Lamborghini, he's not going to have a choice. He's moving in, especially with that draft. It's a high aero car in comparison to the rest of the GT3 field, and it shows. Both cars taking a very fast line through turn 1, but Josh able to keep it a little bit cleaner into the front part of Village Road. And El Garito will be the one on the back foot now, trying to stay within that drafting range towards Old Man's house. Yeah, Patchy not only, well, Patchy was P2. Oh no, Patchy was P2 by a large margin and lost that 8-second gap, I want to say after a spin that we missed here on the broadcast. Wish that was something we were able to pull back. Bot Lando now 6.2 seconds away from Tommy Boy. So Patchy will try and close that gap. I was going to see if El Garito could stay in this fight, but it doesn't look like he's gonna. That Lamborghini seems to have so much pace through this section specifically. He's pulled off many moves heading into this second chicane. But that Ferrari evenly enough match to hold its own for now. A little bit of a slip up is going to give that Lamborghini the acceleration advantage, but both Ferraris are here to help each other out. He's stuck in a little bit of a sandwich. He's got El Garito right behind as we head into the kitchen, and these Ferraris are taking nearly identical lines, so the Lamborghini is going to be forced to adapt a little bit here as we're in our final lap of racing. This is it. It all comes down to these final few corners. Who can get ahead? Fulton really looking for the move here. That's going to be a good lineup into Green Mile. El Garito falling a little bit back. Unfortunately, going to need a mistake from one of these two to get by. Lakeshore Drive going to be the deciding factor as Batlando tries to cover off the inside, not able to, and looks for a switchback opportunity. He's going to try and hang on close to the bumper as we head through the final corner. That Lamborghini, though, with incredible pace. Josh Fulton going to rock up P4 as Batlando takes P5, El Garito P6, and Rev 174 P7. Oh, as they have their ceremonial pile up. We'll check in with Brian number 7 for a moment here. But we've got an incredible finish there. So Josh Fulton had a couple of unfortunate events throughout the evening there. Ends up P4 after a few shots at P2. Looking at the gaps overall, I think he would have had it, but gets a P2 in his class. And frankly, that is what matters for the points. We'll see how that helps shake things up. Now, our next race here, I don't believe is a reverse grid, but let me take a quick peek just to double check. Oh, it is a reverse grid. Okay, excellent. So Fulton will actually be a little bit of an advantage to Jawa this time. We'll see if he's able to make it through cleanly. And El Garito, who has been starting to find his pace, ends up with a 2:07.2 as his fastest lap. Will start a little bit closer to the front. Brian number 7 showing off those 360 skills as he brings it across the line to end race 1 of the final week of the season. I mean, that was a pretty good first race there. We had a lot of exciting moments, but ultimately a strong pit strategy from Patchy showed to be the big difference and one of the huge deciding factors in the race, other than a few self-inflicted wounds across the grid. Tommy Boy, I will say, shout out to him, had a few self-inflicted wounds of his own, did manage to bounce back for a P2, so shout out to the number 16 Z4 there. That is going to put the Z4s in front of the Ferraris in the Manufacturers' Cup. The Lamborghinis have basically locked the win, so it'll be a battle for P2 here. Really, Batlando, all he can do is tie it, but a tie would be a nice way to go, and then it goes to pole position, so we'll see where that comes into play. Just looking at the standings there. So Rev, I do believe I can confirm Rev and Patchy are tied. So this is going to be the deciding race for the amateur class. Some of the other ones have been kind of finalized, but race 2 can still shake up the drops, and that's where things get key. Looks like everybody's been returned now to the grid to start their waiting period before the final race of the season. Practice is recommended for this kind of a track. Yeah, I mean, it's really that Hell's Kitchen section it's just a tough one to go in blind to, but a lot of these guys have been doing pretty good and holding on to that. All right. Somehow the safety car has made its way onto the grid. Hopefully auto start. Yeah, okay, there you go. It takes care of that. That was my fault. So we'll line up here for the end of season 6. It's almost sad to say we got a lot of big changes coming. So honestly, this is going to be kind of one of the last few races of RR as you know it. Nothing crazy, but just going to get a little bit more official, a little bit more cleaned up. So One for the road here. It's going to be Bullet taking us off, followed by Brian number 7, Rev 174, El Garito, Bot Lando, Josh Fulton, Patchy, Tommy Boy, and Jawa bringing up the rear. I'm expecting nothing but excellence here in our final race of the season. A few seconds before the lights go off here to finish everything strong. So right off the bat there, you see that Lamborghini of Josh Fulton going around the outside with some pace. That El Garito trying to follow him through, turning it into a bit of a 3 wide. Fulton sees the potential disaster and pulls off. We already see a couple of cars going wide. That sun is rising once more, so they're going in blind to the first part of Village Road and towards Old Man's house. We only see a few side-by-side battles. Ooh, but Rev's going to go for a dive, and that'll make some of these guys have to stay on their toes. Bullet kind of running away with things a little bit here, so it'll be up to Fulton to close that gap as the grid tries to follow him through. We see a bunch of guys getting too wide through the chicane, but they manage to hang on. Speaking of hanging on, Fulton does just that, keeps the pace and manages to carry through past Bullet into pole position here. As lo and behold, Tommy Boy and Bot Lando find themselves side by side once more. A little bit further up the grid, you see El Garito making his way past Bullet. Jawa looking for a way past Rev 174, and ooh, that Z4 trying to avoid a little bit of a spin. As we see, oh no, I think that was going to be Bot Lando, who has to teleport to pits after getting flipped upside down after following contact with Rev 174. So a lot of chaos in that chicane is going to really hurt that orange Ferrari in the overall standings. Now that Ferrari kind of relying on El Garito to get up front. I kind of don't want that to be what throws the race. So we're going to hang on for just a minute. I'm going to offer a solution to our boy Bot Lando here. Give me just a minute. Just a moment. Alright, so I told Bot Lando if he slows down and rejoins the grid at the back of the pack, I'll make up the lap for him. So hopefully he gets the hit there and does just that. We'll see if he does. Yep, you see that time going down, so he's starting to figure that one out. We'll see if he lets these guys get around. As he actually is still pushing there. Well, we tried. We'll see if he's able to. But anyway, so Jawa and is able to get by El Garito eventually. So El Garito was hanging on to that lead for a little bit. Sorry, we missed some of the action there. Just trying to get that sorted. We'll see. There you go. He's slowed down on the straightaway, so it looks like he has got the message. We'll see when the grid goes by. Hopefully these guys can stay close together to give him a little bit of an advantage. So Rev 174 now in the Audi trying to hold off Tommy Boy in the Z4 where he can. Patchy in the other Audi trying to get ahead of Bullet to join that fight. He's got the black Lamborghini of the Tech League Racers, Josh Fulton, barreling down behind him, so that's going to be a lot of pressure to go through. Lando now getting on the gas. We are going to be kind of just counting his placement of where he finishes, so he'll be right with the group. Just kind of working his way back up where he can. So we'll have to try and pay attention to where he finishes. That's a nice part of the mini map being on the broadcast, though. We can always check back in and see. But Lando is in last place, not a lap down. So Josh Fulton now currently makes his way past Bullet, trying to catch his way up to Patchy in the Audi in front. El Garito starting to fall back a little bit from Jawa in that Lamborghini. If he can go without any mistakes, I think we'll start to see another dominant performance from that number 5 car. In the meantime, Tommy Boy missing his compadre, now taking the fight to the Audi of Rev 174, manages to get by with quite a lot of pace into the second chicane, giving him a full second advantage to that Audi behind. So quite a lot of pace there. Lando in that Ferrari starting to catch up a little bit to the grid behind. We'll see if he's able to close that gap. He was a true gentleman. He waited a little bit longer than he needed to, but we appreciate that about him. Brian number 7 now starting to close the gap on Bullet in that Audi. So Bullet held on to the lead for a little while, slowly starting to fall down the ranks here, and this will mark pretty much the point where he's hit the back of the grid. He does still have Lando to go, but Brian number 7 now hunting men up front. He's got 4 seconds to go up until that Lamborghini, who's currently trying to put Patchy between them. And it looks like he's going to be able to do so, not with ease, as that Audi is carrying through some speed. Oh, and Patchy gets spun out, ends up going for a little bit of a spin, but keeps all 4 on the floor and keeps on moving. Brian number 7 getting by, and Bullet has the pace to do so as well. We'll see if he recognizes his Audi compadres in a different battle and eventually let him through, as they go a little side by side through Old Man's house, so I don't think that's going to be the case. Patchy going extra wide, gets a little bit more acceleration into Village Road, trying to go for the late break through the chicane, and a little tap up with the wall is going to give Bullet the pace to get right back through. We'll see if Patchy is able to scoop up the draft and maybe try and make that passing opportunity happen once more. Bullet doing a good job of holding his own. Dirty air, yeah, he definitely got a little bit of a draft or something there that spun him out. That is giving Lando an opportunity behind to get a little bit closer. You saw that orange Ferrari for just a moment in the background. As we see, Josh actually fell behind Rev 174 for just a moment. Managed to get that position back, but I'm not sure exactly where that came. I'm not sure if we had another slip moment as he goes a little bit wide into Lakeshore Drive, giving that Audi a pretty decent chance to try and make something happen on this final straightaway. He's got that draft to his advantage. I'm hanging back till we get around the wall. And right here is where I'm getting on the gas and applying the pressure to its fullest advantage. She tries to, but I think the Audi gets a little bit too far too quickly. So we won't see that from him just yet. Lando manages to get past Bullet, who I think has a little bit of a spin near the pit entrance. So that's going to be his first position now up into P8. Is where we're going to have Lando on the scoring. Trying to work his way up to Patchy in P7 next. Now really Lando's locked down P2. This one's just for glory, but it kind of I don't know. It always helps to be where you should be rather than get stuck because of a glitch or something like that. Not to say an upside down car is a glitch, but you know, who's to say it would have gone that way? Do you see that everybody's starting to recognize the pace as everyone settles in here? This is a lot more spread out than we saw the first one. Not as many head-to-head battles, but part of that is Tommy Boy and Botlando are so far separated at the moment. Botlando currently only a few seconds behind Patchy. I want to say, taking a look, it's about 2 at the moment, so he's closing in pretty quickly. Looking around, Tommy Boy's the only other one doing the same, so I'm sure we'll be checking in on that battle in just a moment. But as we head into Hell's Kitchen, Patchy looking closer than ever, and that Ferrari is starting to look like it really has a chance. Brian, number 7, also getting a little bit closer. Same with Josh Fulton in that Lamborghini. Josh and Tommy Boy is going to be a good battle when Josh finishes closing up that gap. He's been creeping slower and slower. But Josh Fulton puts up a 2:03.872. That's the fastest lap that we've seen around this track. It's, I think, the first one we've seen in below the 2:04s. So we talk about a man on a mission. That is the definition of one right there. And as we say that, he's going a little bit too fast for his own good. Josh ends up spinning out, heading out of turn 1 into the first part of the village road. Ends up getting passed by Rev 174 and finds himself at the risk of Brian, number 7, getting around, which he does. So the number 23 car needing to take a little moment to focus here. Thankfully, the Z4 making a slight mistake, giving him a chance for a quick pass, a quick little confidence boost. See if he gets back on the gas. 18 minutes remaining. We're excited to see what can happen. Don't forget, they still do have a pit stop. No matter what they decide to do with their tires, they will have to get fuel. So we'll see if that strategy helps them out. We'll see who has learned anything from Patchy's endeavor in race 1 and tries to adopt that here in race 2. Tommy Boy, I think, possibly having a little spin of his own as El Garito managing to get by. Not a lot of passing going on, and we seem to be missing some of the few that are, as we get comfortable watching a few of the racers. Still see Brian, number 7, relatively close to Josh Fulton, but not close enough to make any sort of a move. Check in on Botlando and see if he's gotten any closer to Patchy, which it looks like he's creeping, but again, I don't think it's quite enough for the move that he's looking for. Still just taking a peek to see when some of these guys creep in to the gaps. Maybe I can get a judge. Was that? Oh no, Patchy and Botlando is what I was trying to see. It wasn't able to, but Botlando does manage to go over a second faster than Patchy on that last lap, so he's definitely getting closer. Josh Fulton going for the early pit stop, wants the fresh tires. Brian, number 7, taking the early pit as well. So those guys will fall a little bit further down the field for just a moment's time. Tommy Boy getting closer and closer to El Garito, so it looks like he's bringing the fight back to the Ferrari in the next couple laps here if he can hang on. Botlando doing a good job of applying the pressure to that Lamborghini, or to that Audi of Patchy in front. You see the Audi of Bullet going into the pits here, so a few guys taking that halfway mark strategy still. Not everybody's committed to the full send that Patchy has, but I still don't think he's going to be alone. Patchy deciding this is not his race, lets Botlando by, as his main focus is just trying to catch up to Rev 174 in front. He's hoping maybe Botlando can help him close that gap. So we'll latch on with the blue, black and blue Audi, Hornsby and Hall for the time being. Nope, and as I say that, Tommy Boy and El Garito seem to have switched position through Hell's Kitchen. Of course, they want to have their battle right as the other guys are as well. Jawa committing to the halfway point strategy again this time around. Did prove successful for him the first time. We'll see how it works for the second go around. El Garito applying a little bit of pressure now to Tommy Boy. Tommy did take the position, so he is going to be going a little bit more defensive, I'd imagine, when he sees that Ferrari making a move. As El Garito sends it a little bit out of track limits as he's pushing at the moment. Rev 174 taking a note from the leader, going into the pits as these two battle it out around Old Man's house. See that Z4 bouncing up and down every once in a while, but unable to really get too much farther away from this Ferrari. Tom has the pace. I'm not sure exactly where it's gone at the moment. Oh, actually, it's not where it's gone, as he's got a 2:05 in the bag. El Garito, though, a 2:06.4 as his fastest lap this time around, so he shaved off another second on what he's capable of. And that's why he's able to bring the fight to Tommy so easily here. He'll be looking for a clean opportunity, but he knows he's got to wait. The problem is that Z4 is nimble through Hell's Kitchen. It'll all be about the acceleration that Ferrari out of the exit. So as predicted, Tommy Boy gaining a little bit into the entrance and midsection. But can El Garito power through on the exit? Seems like he does. He's gaining a couple hundredths at a time as he has a powerful line through the green mile and tries to start working his way back up to Tommy Boy. It's going to be a difficult one, but we'll see if he's able to. I think he's actually going to use this as an opportunity to call into the pits. And we'll see. Ooh, did he? Looked like he almost hit the wall, but don't see any marks of environmental collision, so avoided it. Josh Fulton only less than a second away from that Audi of Rev 174 in front. He's passed him once or twice. Just had a few moments of misfortune earlier in the evening. Now looking at a chance to get by once more and start putting some distance between himself and the rest of the grid and closing that gap on some of these guys ahead who he's definitely got the pace on. This is going to be a big straightaway here once they get around the wall. Both racers have pit already, so they are going to be out till the end. Josh needs to get within that drafting range, at least Village Road, to really make good use of this lap and that Lamborghini's top speed in comparison to the Audi. Josh always manages to close a little bit of time on some of these racers through turn 2 specifically. Does so again here on Rev 174. See him going by the Audi with ease. He'll be able to regroup and get his line through Old Man's house with no problem. Now has 15 seconds to close in only 11 minutes time to the Ferrari of El Garito in front, who was unfortunately a little bit behind Tommy Boy. As far as Patchy's role in all this, I'm not quite sure where that'll end up after his pit strategy. It made him up a lot of time last time, or on the last race. We'll see if it does so again here. Tommy Boy leading the race. We're going to jump over to him for just a moment to see if he's considering a pit stop around this moment. It looks like he's definitely lined himself up for one, so feels relatively comfortable with how much he's gained. Narrowly avoids that wall. Man, it is a dangerous one, but he avoids it, carries his pace through to the box. And now for the moment of truth, we get to see which of our racers are going to get by. That was a pretty quick pit stop. Oh, he did not spend much time in the pits. We actually have both 3 cars coming around. One of them he'll be very happy to see, I think, as if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be the orange Ferrari of Bot Lando. Who I believe that is his true position at the moment. Only 1 spot behind. Oh, he hasn't pit yet, so that's why. But he is only 1 spot behind Tommy Boy, so currently sitting P4 and needing to pit. These guys, though, love racing side by side. We'll see if that's some good motivation to get Bot Lando back into the hunt. He's going for the late pit strategy. Or trying to hope he doesn't need one, I guess, because of that kind of teleportation incident at the beginning. Not sure where that'll play into his strategy, but we'll find out here in a moment. Jawa getting the pass relatively easy by Patchy. Patchy knows that's not his battle, so he's not really going to push it too hard. And he'll let that white number 5 car regain pole, but only for a moment, as he's got a little slip up exiting the second chicane. These guys are real good at saving the car. I will say I'm no longer stressed here at the end of the season when they start to spin until they actually make contact with the wall, because they seem to keep ending up nose forward. So that's kind of where it really counts. You can see all 4 guys in the top battle close together here. 2 of them still needing a pit. So really it comes down to Tommy Boy and Jawa. Tommy Boy really applying some solid pressure on that Lamborghini up front. Yeah, Josh had an incredible lap with that 203 and has really closed the gap down to El Garito. He's actually cut it almost in half. Is that right? That can't be right. Was it 15 seconds? It might have been. I think he's cut the gap in half in only about 2 laps. Maybe 3 laps. I think 3 laps. I'm being dramatic, but that's not that dramatic. That's an incredible performance there from the Lamborghini as he's inching closer and closer to P4. Again, we don't know where Patchy's strategy is going to land him, nor do we with Bot Lando. But I think he's got a shot at the podium despite having a few incidents early on. So a little bit of consistency is all it takes here. And that's what we're expecting to see from that Lamborghini in the back half. Revs 174, a little bit quicker on... Oh, it was 5 seconds on the last lap? Then yeah, maybe it really was only 2 laps different. But Rev 174 a little bit quicker, or a little bit of a spin or an incident there. Falls behind Brian number 7 in the number 2 Z4, so he'll be trying to catch up where he can. Jawa trying to line back up to Patchy. This time it makes the second chicane much cleaner as he's able to hammer through past Bruno. I think Hell's Kitchen's going to be where he's got his biggest advantage on that Audi. He just seems to have a good line through as he's made up a lot of pace through all sections here in tonight's race. And that same pace he manages to carry on. Do you still see Bot Lando hasn't gone for the pit, nor has Patchy. Patchy now will be the target for Tommy Boy, but he'll certainly be trying to stick within that drafting range and use the line of that Lamborghini in front for motivation. Or he'll pull into the pits and completely disregard everything I said. Patchy avoiding contact with the wall, able to carry on and keep moving. Do we see Bot Lando going into pits? We do, so that'll be both guys a part of that top 4 battle heading in. For a short pit, though, they won't need to go for too long. Patchy's pit does seem to be around the same length that Tommy Boy's was, so I don't think he got that much of an advantage there. We'll see about Bot Lando as he's still a few seconds behind Josh Fulham, heading past both of them, so he'll currently be coming out P6, it looks like. trying to catch up to Patchy in that black and blue Audi. As he heads finally back out onto the track. Not a ton of time separating himself and Brian number 7, but enough time to where he can carry some pace back through the first part of Village Road here and maybe keep things a little bit interesting. So now that everybody's pit, you can kind of see where the grid lies. Nothing too crazy, with the exception of Josh Fulton trying to hunt down El Garito and doing pretty well at that. And Bot Lando now only a few seconds ahead of Brian number 7. Still going to try and be working to close that gap to Patchy up front. Both racers had the same strategy, but definitely worked out a little bit better for that Audi. Tommy Boy trying to apply the pressure where he can to the white Lamborghini, but that pace is really hard to match in this Z4. He's doing his best, but that Lamborghini keeps slipping bit by bit. Just a little update, Josh Fulton with a 2:05.1 on that last lap to El Garito's 2:07.6. See now he's getting to within 4 seconds of the man in front. I think at this point it's safe to bounce over. It is definitely coming down to the wire here, and this is going to be the battle to watch. We always have one in the final lap, and I think it is shaping up to be this one, as El Garito is not just going to give him that position. They might not be in the same class, but he's certainly going to make him fight for it. Josh Fulton, ooh, a little bit of a slide there, but he manages to hang on. Kills the pace for just a moment, but gets back on the gas and continues to push. Hopefully we don't give him a little bit of a broadcaster's curse, but he's looking clean through old man's house, nursing the tires a little bit. I think they're starting to get warmed up, but the Ferraris can't be doing too much better. So I'm sure they're taking similar lines at this point. Fulton shaving off a couple tenths at a time, mainly here because of that top aggressive speed and acceleration of the Lamborghini. Really making that Techley Racing livery look strong as it heads right towards the lake. Staying within limits as we swing left away into chicane 2. And even in the time we've watched, he's made up about half a second, so Armstrong, your theory is looking good, but it's going to take a little bit more pressure from Fulton here. This one not going to be one of his fastest laps. He'll need to get back on the pace as he goes deep into Hell's Kitchen, and that's going to cost him a lot of time, I think. Looks like that Ferrari might have had a little bit of a struggle with the exit, so it wasn't actually too bad despite knocking off a couple of tenths from his personal best. Narrowly avoiding contact with the wall, swinging through Green Mile. And Fulton is really starting to struggle to hang on here. Judging by the time, I think they're only going to have one lap to make this happen. So Josh needs to make up almost 3 seconds here. He's going to need another one of those 2:03s. It's not impossible, but it's going to be difficult. And taking a look around, Brian number 7 is inching closer and closer to Bot Lando. But that is not, unfortunately, helping him in terms of his overall standings. The BMWs, though, do look like they're going to be locking up a solid P2 in the Manufacturers' Cup. Again, the Lamborghinis did dominate today's event, so that will lock them the overall win in the NA at least. So shout out to a big season by the manufacturers there. Fulton up almost a full second in sector 1. Actually only half a second, but seems to have closed about a second so far. So we'll see what that Sector 2 time comes into play. El Garito does seem to be on a little bit of a hot lap of his own. So he's definitely trying to get away from that Lamborghini to the best of his ability. It's going to get close. It all comes down to who can hang on through Hell's Kitchen, as it has many times before. Oh, and a little bit of a tease there because of how slow they have to go. But I think El Garito is able to stay a little bit further ahead. As I say that, though, Fulton getting closer and closer to that drafting range. He's at least going to try and make things interesting. He's toying with it here. It'll come down to a strong turn around the wall. Getting pretty close. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but it's going to be right to the line. Fulton once more. He did it in race 1. Can he do it in race 2? Tries to pull out. Is not going to be enough, as you've got a couple of donuts here from your champions at the end of the line. El Garito managing to hang on by only 2/10. An electric way to end the season. We'll try and hop on with a few more cars as they head through the line to wrap things up. Apache taking the pacifist route. Brian, number 7, we'll see if he opts to do the same as Bontlando crosses the line P6. Brian, number 7, finishing a proper number 7. And to finalize season 6 and all that she wrote, Rev 174, never the pacifist, taking out our expert and overall season champion, Jawa, in the process, as he finalizes a solid P8. Yeah, Josh had an incredible final lap there. Looks like his last lap might have been a 2:03.4, if I'm looking at that correctly. So that is one hell of a way to end that season. Usually at this point, we would just kind of wrap things up, but I think we are going to have to at least get a quick word from the confirmed champions, and then we'll do the points. Because the amateur class, I don't know where that ended up. But let's get our first champion in here. Jawa, if you're here, you want to pop in real quick?
Hey, how's it going?
Well, I mean, it was kind of all but confirmed. Josh did have a chance, a slim chance, but a chance nonetheless. You have definitely taken home the expert class of season 6 and basically the overall win at that. How does it feel?
Feels good, man. I mean, I'm happy with my result today. I mean, I had a couple of little incidents in the second race that didn't make me too happy, but I guess it all matters is the result, right?
Exactly. Things finished strong. That's all that really matters. And we were happy to see you out on the grid today. Now, overall in the season, I mean, you had a big one there. Is there anything you want to say? Any final remarks?
It was a great season. I really enjoyed it. The tracks were very unique this season, not what we're normally used to. There were a couple that I really enjoyed. This one being one of them. And I guess anyone who's watching, if you're interested in GT3 racing, come race. It's a great ton of fun.
Love to hear it. Well, we're gonna try and grab a quick word from Tommy Boy before he disappears. But great season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Looks like he's muted, so it might be moot. But Tom, if you're there, we're trying to get one last interview for the road from our pro class champion.
I'm here.
Hey.
Hey.
A very, very strong race 1. You came back from an incredible misfortune there to lock up P2 overall. And congratulations, because you definitely have won the pro class of season 6. So how does that feel?
You know, it feels good, although I feel like I could have done better on many of races. maybe this is gonna, what do you call it? Motivate me to practice more, because this season has been very, very laid back in that regard. And then, of course, I see Josh and Jawa putting up these 204s and even 203s now. Oh, God, I should fucking practice more.
Well, that's the motto for season 7. I'm assuming you'll be one of the ones in the our AR season, the real amateur racing. We'll be using real penalty over there, keeping things a little bit cleaner, maybe even some safety car moments. So we look forward to seeing you there.
I'm looking forward to it indeed.
But congrats on a great season, man. Great way to wrap it up, and we'll see you for the next one.
Likewise. Have a good one.
Oop, I kicked him off early. But appreciate everybody for watching there. That's the wrap up there for season 6. I'm going to probably be streaming some of the open races here and there between that. If not, we'll always have our AI broadcast. But we'll be back for season 7. I know people always want to know when it is. It's coming. It's coming. We got to make some plans first. And the announcement will be soon.